Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of the Olympic Games, individual time trials, both men and women. We've just seen the men's wrap up. The women's went first. This episode is brought to you by Join Cycling, the best training platform for all your cycling needs. Download it today on your phone of choice. But today, Benji, we're going to do the Olympics TT. Before we do the profile, the opening ceremony was last night. There was also some sevens rugby the night before. I forgot to say on the preview that, one of my friends from school actually is the captain of the Aussie Sevens team. So I got to check in on how they're doing. They were in with a good chance, and they beat America. So cop that, Americans listening. And we'd beat you at NFL if we played it. But what do you think of the opening ceremony? On the scene, it was different. You know, you're a Eurovision aficionado. You like big events and stuff like that. You like Euro trash. Like, what did you think?
Honestly, Eurovision is enjoyable, the opening part of it. I enjoyed it. I was watching a very sad opening ceremony, man. With the rain on everybody's head, everybody looked sad. There was this guy singing at a piano, doing music.
That was sad, yeah.
He didn't even have to pretend to be making a sad song. He looked like he was crying. Genuinely, there were some more enjoyable parts. I think the opera parts and some actual artists showing up was the best part, but I feel like the transitions between everything, kind of crap, man. Like, there's a reason nobody else has done this on a bloody river. And London Olympics 2012, vividly in my head, nowhere near that. Sorry, but Paris, you fucked it.
Really? I liked it. So it's clear that there was something wrong with the cameras or the camera angles. Like, the production was not slick. Like, there was shots of Tunisia instead of Turkey, like they were showing the wrong country, which is a big no-no. They even, I think the international broadcast mixed up the two, North and South Korea. Obviously,
but also, I'm going to pick up on that for a second. During an open ceremony in the past, I could see every athlete walking into an arena. Yeah. These guys were hidden in a boat behind plaques of their country.
That was the crazy thing, is that normally you do the camera shot of the boat, and then I was like, okay, now they're going to crop in onto LeBron James' face holding the flag. You couldn't see who anyone was, but I liked it. I think, the transitions between segments were not so good, but like, it is more memorable than some of the segments. I liked the Marie Antoinette segment was sick. Now listen, drag show, everybody likes it for about 10 minutes or so. Don't get me wrong, bit of fun, everyone having a good time. But yeah, I was also like, wow, this is like a really long part of the segment, that there was the drag show for so long. And listen, I've been to cabaret shows or whatever in Paris, have yourself a good time. But I was like, this is going on for a long time. And also, it's getting late. Like, I want to see Celine Dion. So also, some of it, the segments like the horse on the water, it was cool. And it's like, wow, he's really doing a long distance race. The horse, like, it's gone for a while.
But you mentioned the basketball player there. What's his name? LeBron James? LeBron James.
Yeah.
You mentioned LeBron James. Is it me, or is it weird that these sports that are huge in the world, like basketball, tennis, and then I see those guys on the boat, and in my head, they don't fit in?
Because they're 7 foot.
That's not what I meant. I meant because their sport is so huge that it feels like Olympics should be worthless for them.
Also, same with big tennis. Big tennis, everyone's talking about the big woke mind virus with the show, the opening ceremony. That's not the big story here. Big tennis, they had Serena, Nadal, they're not even French. What's going on? Why are there so many tennis players? I want to see, eventually, I think we did see Teddy Rana, but like,
Who is that?
The judoka. He's the French, like, one of their best ever heavyweight judokas. He's pretty. It's for someone who professes to pretend like they hate the Olympics. Benji, I know a peculiar amount about the Olympics and past Olympics. Anyway, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
My relationship with the Olympics died in Rio when Nibali crashed in the descent.
Yeah, but Greg won. But I thought, it's not showing. France is like, have you been to France recently? It's not just, ooh, we go to the castle and we have some cheese and some what. No, it's like the cities are different. There's some weird shit going on. You can do what you like.
Is Paris even that nice of a city?
I enjoy going to Paris, actually. I always have a good time. I actually like going to Paris. I think if you go to Paris and think it's like at Disneyland, of course, it's not going to be what you expect, but actually I enjoy going to Paris. Anyway, that was the opening ceremony. I give it a 7.5 out of 10, and I think it was true to what France is. Benji does not.
1.5 out of 10. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. LA is going to have, instead of the LVMH segment, they'll have like what? They'll have Lockheed Martin or Apple. Apple will do the segment.
Is that the next one?
Yeah, LA 28. Okay.
Jesus Christ. Wait. America, that means nighttime, evening for us.
The US of A, yes.
So that's evening for us for podcast.
Yeah, we might go, Benji. We might be that big of a deal by then. The course, though, heavy rain yesterday, and the rain did not abate today from Paris, Les Invalides to Paris Pont Alexandre III. It's a flat course, the flattest course you'll ever get, pretty much, actually, because it's in the city. 33 kilometers long. They don't even go north. They go east to the Château de Vincennes, the Bois de Vincennes, which is, yeah, as I said, flat. If they went north, there'd be a couple of little hills. Remco said when he did the recon that the road surface was extremely poor, especially in the first part on the southern end of the Seine, and that did appear to be the case. And with the rain made it a much more open TT than one would think. An intermediate time check at 13 Ks and at 22 Ks, and those time checks are before and after they do the in and out of the Bois de Vincennes on the east, which is the quote-unquote technical part between T1 and T2. And then the run into the finish is pretty much the same as the way they came out. And it's the same course for the women as well. We'll do the men's first. Josh Tarling was he was the very heavy favorite. He was better than $2 odds, which we remarked was maybe a little bit short, considering who he's up against. Ganna was the second favorite, and Remco was the third favorite, Benji. Not by far, but yeah, it was a cornered 3 market. It was but did the rain make you think? The rain always makes it more open as well.
Yeah, and I was trying to get through every single one of those riders in my head before the race started, because with some riders, it's obvious. The technical segment in very wet conditions will favor Wout van Aert, because he's more technically established than the other riders. But then I go through the 3 favorites, and in my head, Remco lost time in corners at the Tour de France TT. He's crashed a few times in corners in wet conditions as well. When it comes to Ganna, I think the Copenhagen first ITT, he wasn't that great in, if I recall correctly. It was pretty rainy that day, but I also don't remember him crashing necessarily in the corners. When it comes to Tarling, there's limited data, but the guy's from Wales, and it rains a lot there. So in my head, that's pretty much a stamp of approval when it comes to this weather. So before the time trial, I thought, okay, Tarling maybe a slight bit of an advantage on the technical segment, but we said in the preview before, the first half and the last half, well, it can't be both halves, but the first 40% and the last 40% of this time trial aren't exactly that technical. It's like the middle part with some cobbles through a forest. What was that, mate? Like, the road surface in this was special.
It was like cobbles and then also white paint everywhere. It's like even like in the opening ceremony last night where they're doing the flag beneath the Eiffel Tower. I was like, you didn't want to get rid of the white paint, the road for like signals. I was like, okay, like we've really left everything in place here. And yeah, like I was very surprised not to see the speed bump taken out in this TT, and we saw riders having problems there, and one rider nearly losing their medal there in this race. So particularly in the Chateau de Vincennes. So it was actually like we said in the preview, Benji, it wasn't a technical TT. It still wasn't that technical from a corners perspective, but the combination of the road surface, the lines, the rain, it actually did make it quite technical. And even when you look at Remco's position, I was saying it during the race, Remco on the good roads in France, in the TT, you'll see him like head, I'll do it for you. His head is like tucked in. You can't see his head at all. He's touching his hands and his head. And he's not. He's actually the space here because he cannot afford to just look down. Otherwise, you're going to hit a pothole, manhole cover in the rain. See you later.
You look like one of those like green insect thingies. What are they called?
Praying mantis.
Yes. That's
also
what
known as
like.
Audrey Cordon-Rago's new position.
Man.
That's the position she had.
Time trial. That looked like an illegal position to me.
It's crazy, no?
There was a bigger gap in between,
It's
between her
crazy
two
position.
TT bars than I've ever seen. But anyway, you said it. You spoke about the parkour, and will we do it the traditional way where we go through the results, or will we apply some chronology in this podcast?
I reckon we
Your
can do it
choice.
chronologically. We'll do it chronologically. So we see...
You think I remember what just happened in this?
I remember exactly what happened. Ryan Mullen and Varchek set good times. We see riders in the men's, not as many crashes, but still there's people sliding. I think the rain had abated a little bit. Excuse me. And we're seeing that the average for like the mid pack is about 51 and a half k's an hour on the flat course. So it's not 53, 54 for the mid pack, meaning that it's not going to be 55, 56, which we sometimes see in, say, a Torreno flat TT for the bigger riders. Was there anyone that crashed, Benji, early doors? Was there any crazy stuff from the maybe just mechs from Tratnik?
Yes, a mechanical from Trotnik, but I don't feel like there were many crashes when it comes to the men's time trial. I feel like your bodily immunity just crashed looking at the way you're coughing on this podcast. But there were no early crashes in this men's time trial, to my memory at least. So I was kind of waiting on the big guns to start. And when it comes to the big guns, it kind of goes in waves, you know. It's one rider from each country, then the next row of riders from each country goes. And as a consequence, because Wout van Aert and Evenepoel are both on the same country, Belgium, they are going in different waves. So that's why Wout van Aert is going so significantly earlier than the other guys. I gotta be honest, before this time trial started, my expectations of Wout van Aert from the Tour de France TT weren't great. But with the time, with the wetness of the road and the technical section in the middle a little bit, that did fuel thoughts of, can he perhaps surprise in some way? Whether he surprised or not, I guess we'll find out. But who was the next, was Wout van Aert the next big thing when it comes to the ones on the road?
I think so. Bissiger, of course, was going and setting an okay time, but we've seen like Bissiger, his time is not really a reference for the big guns. And like you said, Benji, the rain increases variance for Van Aert as opposed to the three that had cornered the market, in that the rain means one's more likely to have a mech, one's more likely to have a crash or a problem or whatever. And we also don't know their shape because they're all... Who's preparing for this event? This is 2 Olympics in a row where I've never been further off base with my predictions. Maybe the men's not so bad, but it's tough to predict what's happening with everyone's form coming. Have they done the tour? Are they preparing for it, etc.?
We are coming in shape for this, no?
Well, it's like with joint cycling. If you want to be the best you can be for an event, and I know many of you do cycling events. There's the Dust Bowl today. Joint Cycling had a specific tailored plan for the Dust Bowl. There's the 3 cols in America, in the UK, in Europe. Doesn't matter where you are. If there's a big event, Gran Fondo, gravel race, the Marmot Gran Fondo in the Pyrenees, Gran Fondo World Championships, even the TT, the Gran Fondo World Champs TT, Joint Cycling has a specific plan or catered to you. You click on the plan in the app, you say what, if the Gran Fondos, what distance you're doing, and you create the training plan. You click create training plan, select your availability and your level, and Joint Cycling spits you out the training plan with exactly the sessions until the date of that event, which it already knows. You don't have to... You can literally do it in 30 seconds and have a catered tailored training plan for your event, for your level, for your availability within 30 seconds to a minute. That's the beauty of Join Cycling. And if you're doing an event, why not be in the best shape possible or a better shape than normal? So instead of it being a slog, you can actually enjoy it and get event ready with Join's tailored training plans. Achieve your personal best. Maybe you've done the same event before, but you want to do better. You want to break that KOM that's part of the event. And I really, really think it's something I might do, Benji, before the TDU next year, where I take part in the big Gran Fondo that happens at the TDU. Because I've done that before. Yeah, why not?
Terrifying. I'm actually, I'd be terrified, but you're flying, mate. You're flying. You should be able to build up towards that. You might even win it.
Well, I mean... No, there's some really good riders that do it.
We tried,
We're still dealing with my latent talent deficiency. But yeah, as you said, Cruised around with Jack Haig yesterday, 2.5 hours. It was nice. Just chilling in the mountains here in Andorra, enjoying the summer, catching up on the Tour de France. If you want to check out Join Cycling, 30-day free trial through our link down below. Thank you for their support throughout the year. And it is TT. We see Wout van Aert go off. Tarling not far after. Ganna as well. We know that Tarling and Ganna are the specific preparers, speaking of event preparation. Yeah. And let's say Van Aert and Remco are the TDF preparers. Who knows? But
I disagree with Wout. I feel like he prepared more for this Olympics than the Tour de France.
That's true. Remco is pretty good in the Tour. But I mean, they did the Tour and you're not training in the Tour. But yeah, Wout.
Yeah.
You would expect him to be better than he was in that first TT in the Tour. If he's at that level, that's just that's no good. And he's rocking a front disc wheel, so clearly no wind. And it's a risk as well because you might not be able to handle that in these corners, but it's supposed to be faster on the straights.
It's supposed to be faster, but for the people that don't know, the fact that there's a full-on disc wheel in your front wheel as well, if there's a lot of wind on the parkour, you're doomed. Then you're probably going to crash. And that the danger of that makes your bike more difficult to handle, and that impacts you negatively on the highly wind impacting routes. Today, in a bit of an urban circuit, maybe that risk was less. That's why the decision was made. And to be honest, based on his rides, it looked pretty good because his time at the first time check was pretty good without Van Aert. Then I was thinking, okay, the second party should on paper be better. And we're comparing here compared to the riders that were already past her. I think maybe a Bissiger had passed her, those kind of riders. At the second time check, Wout van Aert was destroying those riders by like 40 seconds and so forth. So the man was putting major time into those second tier, maybe third tier TT riders. And then I was thinking, okay, if he does that, yeah, on paper, Ganna, Remco, and Tarling should beat this T1. And on the second part, maybe he did this technical part so good that he might become competitive for the medals, but it would also depend on the last part. But the second time check looked really good for a potential medal for Wout van Aert, to be honest.
It did, in the theory that, yeah, the technical part, he's taken advantage of his cyclocross skills. He was second from T1 to T2, but still, he was only 2 seconds slower than Remco. So Remco still beat him T1 to T2, which was the surprise. Crazy. Yeah, so Remco was killing it there, whereas Van Aert was 7 seconds quicker than Ganna there, who I think was doing a negative split. He seems to always do that. He did it in the World Championships in Leuven, maybe, in the TT. Did he win that? I think he won that after Imola. Yeah, he won the second one. Tarling also did but he wasn't gaining time there, 3 seconds. Did you mention the Tarling mech?
Was the time trial even in Leuven?
In Belgium, like, it's all...
What are we going to say? It's all the same? Is that what you're going to say?
Mate, it's like
it's
within 30 Ks of it.
I do not stand for this disrespect on the Belgian name, my friend.
Where was it then?
Back to the time trial. It was in Brugge that it finished now? Or something.
That is reasonably far away. Yeah. Josh Tarling, though, he's looking fast. He's to maybe the lowest cadence of them all. How much when you see him have, how much did you think he lost in this mech?
Oh, when Tarling had the mechanical, you got to go through it all. On one end, he's slowing down from being up to speed. Looked pretty slow, but if you got a flat tire, you kind of have to do that. Otherwise, you're going to hit the ground. Then he puts the bike to the side, loses a bit of more seconds there. At this point, he's lost, to me, like 8 to 10 seconds, maybe more. Then he needs to get the new bike, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds again added to that. We're talking about getting up to speed after getting on the bike again. I think 23, 25 seconds, roughly. But then you also have the mindset thing of like, okay, I just had a mechanical. Can you immediately get back into the rhythm you had before? It's not that simple either, I would think.
No, and also, I don't know the answer to this, whether it was just the paint job. Was the bike on the roof the same bolida? Because Pinarello brought out a new bolida for, it looked like, and I'm not an aero specialist, for Ganna and Tarling.
Yeah.
If that is the old one, that is also costing them time. Now, I know aero, you can't see it. Sometimes I also don't believe it. But in a flat TT, if they're bringing out a new quick bike, without any wind as well. It's like the optimal flat aero test conditions. You would think the new bike is quicker. Is it the old bike he's also going on to? Because he would have been, let's look at T1.
He would have been ahead at T1.
Tarling was 6th at T1, 3 seconds behind Van Aert.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. Plapp was actually 4th at T1, but he crashed out. Sheffield was 5th at T1. He also crashed. He was basically the same time as Tarling. I think with the slowing down, and especially you have to slow down more carefully in the rain on these streets, with not realizing for maybe a little bit that you have a flat. I don't know if it was a slow flat. With the getting at T1, Tarling would have been first by 10 seconds on Remco.
I think so too.
Minimum. And then if he does the rest of the TT with the slower bike, and so let's say Remco from T1 to the finish. Remco T1 to the finish was then, trying to do some maths, was 15 seconds quicker than Tarling. And then I said he has to make up 10 seconds. If that bike has cost Tarling 5 seconds, then he would have won. So I actually think if he was on the old bike and it was making it slow and it's not as quick as the new bike, I really think Tarling would have, now we also don't know if Remco took it easier at the finish because he knew it was up, but I really think Tarling could have won.
Yep, that's a possibility. One thing is certain, without the mechanical, Tarling podiums this Olympic time trial 100%.
For sure, yeah.
Winning is on the brink for me. I can't say that, but mechanicals are part of the sport. We don't know whether it's a mechanical because of equipment reasons. Maybe not. If not, then it's bad luck. Both things can happen in the sport of cycling, and that is shit. But on the other hand, Joshua Tarling, he's such a young rider where I hope he comes out of this with the mindset of, outside of this mechanical, I put in a hell of a performance. Yes, he does not end up having a medal in this race, but it's only a matter of time, my dude. With the shit he's shown already at this age, he's going to win Olympic gold within the next 10 years, 100%.
Yeah, depends on the course, but most likely he should. Although Remco Evenepoel might have something to say about that, and we see it at T2 things are changing from T1 to T2. Van Aert goes ahead of Ganna, but Remco Evenepoel, he's coming last in this TT, as in he left the last. At T2, he's up big. He's on 24.51, the only man to go under 25 minutes. He's also the only man over 53 k's an hour at T2, and that's the technical section. And given that he'd already been first at T1 on the fast section, he was, to be honest, looking unbeatable, because that was the only thing really. Like, if he really stuffs every corner in the forest, then maybe it becomes close with him and Ganna, but that wasn't the case. From T2 to the finish, Ganna was only a second, 1.5 seconds quicker than Remco. They were practically the same time, T2 to the finish. Ganna nearly had a big spill on the speed bump where there were cobbles, and he miraculously, incredibly saved it. But that also wasn't helping matters. And Tarling, we should say, finishes well, 36.39, 2 seconds slower than Van Aert, who does his best flat TT performance in 2.5 years?
Yes.
Against these guys?
I do feel like the circumstances helped him, but regardless of the circumstances, this is a hell of a performance. And for Wout van Aert to come out of, in my opinion, with a pretty surprising bronze medal for Wout van Aert, that is fantastic to see. That's a great start to this Olympics for him. And let's see if he can double up on a medal at the road race coming up next week. And then I'll go through the rest of the riders while we see the battle going on for the actual victory between Remco, between Ganna, between Tarling, and between Wout van Aert. There is unfortunately a crash further on in the race. It's actually one of the riders that started a bit earlier, Luke Plapp. I don't know what the condition is that he's in. He seemed to be getting up from the crash from the video that I've seen on Twitter. So let's hope he's okay for the road race and for the track. I'm pretty sure Luke Plapp's a track rider. So let's hope he's okay. That's the thing there. That's important. But for the overall victory,
Ganna was coming back.
first of all, that Remco was the fastest on the middle segment from T1 to T2, shocker to me. Sorry, but didn't expect him to be faster than Wout van Aert in that segment. And whether that's because he was top technically, or whether his power during that part was so significantly better than the others that it outweighed that, I don't know. But he can't have been too bad technically to be first in that segment, that's for sure, right?
Yes, but also the corners didn't really make much of a difference until they make a big difference. So, like, there still aren't that many corners. So, say you take them badly and you lose a second per corner, which is huge. Okay, you lose 5 seconds, but he's better on the straights. The problem with these corners, which we see in the women's TT, or Magnus Sheffield, if you take them really badly, you crash.
Yeah.
So it's really like Remco avoiding a crash. And to be honest, I mean, the coverage of this TT, I got to say, was not particularly good. Like, it's a fixed course in the city. We could have fixed, like, it really, like, we see Remco about to come into a chicane. They cut to a static shot of a fucking muddy field or something. It's like, come on, guys.
Is it because the Olympics is made by the Olympics and not by a cycling-specific director and broadcaster, etc.? And as a consequence, they don't necessarily have the knowledge of showing the right riders? Because the amount of times they showed a French rider compared to the actual favorite, especially in the women's race, we'll talk about it later. Like, Ellen van Dijk didn't have a great performance in today's time trial, but she was one of the 3 favorites on paper before the time trial started. So the fact that she wasn't shown outside of the time splits is shocking to me. But back to the men's race. In the end, we have a winner, and it is Remco Evenepoel, despite Ganna actually looking like he was absolutely flying in the last spot. And I'm pretty sure he did the fastest last spot by roughly 2 seconds over Remco in that last spot. But it wasn't super close in the end either, no?
Remco Evenepoel takes the dub, the gold medal. He's now won the World Championships in the TT. He's won a Tour de France TT and an Olympic gold in the TT, all in the space of less than 1 year, which is pretty good for someone who is probably around 63 kilos after the Tour de France. So incredible. Like maybe the best time trial rider ever. To be honest, like, certainly the most unique time trial rider ever. So small. Like, I know Roglic Olympics was incredible. And he also, like, that was an incredible performance. But that has 750 meters elevation gain. Remco has taken on 3 80-kilo beasts on a flat course in the rain and smoked them.
I find it very difficult to say that someone is the best time trialist ever because of the idea that in time trial, equipment plays a major role as well, and that evolves throughout the years. So what if you put a peak, Fabian Cancellara, whatever, just like, I'm looking at the old days. The old days, it's actually not that long ago for a lot of people that watch cycling, but like, if we look at 10 years ago and we put that rider on a bike of these days, how would they perform at their peak in this field? I actually don't know. I'd be very curious to see that, but that's impossible. So I guess we'll have to live with that, but you might be right. The fact that he's just the GC rider that can podium the Tour de France in addition to this shows how fucking good he is. And that's also not just this year. So far, he's won Olympic ITT. So I'll redo that. Remco won the Olympic ITT, the World Champs ITT, the Belgian Champs ITT, won an ITT in all 3 Grand Tours. He's hinted recently at reducing his focus on time trial in an attempt to win the Tour de France in the coming years. Honestly, winning the Olympics ITT, if that was a decision he had to make, doesn't that just speed up that decision and make it very clear that if that can bring you closer to that goal, then you might need to do that now? Because I'm not sure it will help him, but if it does, then he's just achieved every ITT goal that he had.
Yeah, maybe not having... surely he doesn't mean that... Because like ITT is still the best way for him to gain time in Grand Tours. Yeah, maybe he means peaking for... Does he mean peaking for specific ITT events? So like last year, he really peaked for the World Championships TT event, and now that you've not, won everything there is to win, there is nothing else to win except to stack up more on the Palmares in the TT. But if Rwanda's hilly, to be honest, I actually don't think it being hilly even helps him that much. I really think the flat TTs are the best for him. But yeah, he wins with 15 seconds over Ghana, 25 over Van Aert, 27 over Tarling, who, as you know, would have probably come second at worst without the mechanical. A big gap of 37 seconds to McNulty. Sixth was Bissiger on 126. Nelson Oliveira, crazy performance once again, like top 10 Olympics, 7th on 131. And he did the 6th quickest T2 to the finish and was conservative at the start. So Nelson Oliveira is just one of the most underrated riders in World Tour. Kung, like he beat Stefan Kung by 4 seconds. Schachmann, 9th, Bjerg, 10th.
What do you buy this with this as a team?
Respect.
Sorry,
no, I'm saying, if you put Nelson on, look at all the investment that's gone on into Kung and his TT setup with the team and the equipment. I'm not saying Movistar don't do a good job, but Nelson Oliveira is not getting the same love and attention as a lot of these guys in the top 10, and that guy's been cleaning up good results. Also, they'll take the 110 UCI points, Movistar. They won't give them back.
It's like he's a BTEC Castroviejo.
I would say he is the same level TT rider, but yeah, he was not as good a climber, but he's better now. He's like a BTEC Campernuts, I would say.
But I also think it's unfair to say that the team is investing in TT just because of Kung, because otherwise their GC riders would be going even slower in time trials.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good thing for the team that they have to invest in Kung. Yeah,
the whole team should invest. I'm just saying, like Nelson Oliveira, he just turns up and gets it done, you know? In these big one-day TT events. Really, really impressive. Disappointments will be maybe Vauquelin, to be honest. Vauquelin, for his level, didn't do a great TT. Foss 13th. Mechanical. Vauquelin had a mechanical?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough then. Sheffield crash, we didn't see it. 153. Right. And it's sad to say, but like literally we were saying, I was like, I sent you a text. I said, Ineos shouldn't let him start. They shouldn't let him start. He will crash.
Yep. That's true. Every time trial that Magnus Sheffield starts, even if it's not in rainy conditions, you have to consider as a team, okay, he's going to lose 20 seconds, 20, 30 seconds, because he's going to crash in his time trial. Every single time trial throughout the year, he does that. And it's not just time trials. Wasn't it in Tirreno that he crashed 4 times? Like, it's sad because I want to see this guy succeed, but it's a major vulnerability right now when it comes to Magnus Sheffield, not just when it comes to short-term results, but if he crashes badly and injures himself, it could be a long-term block of results for that rider as well. So I hope there's something to fix there, whether it's bike handling or fearing corners or something. I don't know how easily it can be fixed for him.
It's not enough there. Benji, what's what race before he crashed? In the TT. What? He crashed in a TT in the Giro. Did he not? And
I don't remember.
He did. And in the corner before, I was like, he's going to crash. He is going to crash through the chicane. Barely holds it up. Next corner, bang, crash. It's like he's going beyond his technical capabilities in these corners. And you see some like guys were giving time back in the corners just to avoid crashing. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very interesting TT. In the end, on level, it was the 3 that the market said. But Van Aert didn't have a mech. And, you know, he's had some bad luck and now he has some good luck with Tarling having a mech and he gets a bronze medal. That's just how it is.
But also,
Belgium 2 medals.
Buy your luck. You buy your luck. It's like, yes, Tarling had a mechanical, but also Van Aert had the skill in the middle segment to take loads of time on lots of riders that might not be as technically established as him. He's second fastest in that segment of the time trial, so he's faster than Gunnar and Tarling there. So you buy your luck. It's not just luck, in my opinion. So that's credits to Wout van Aert for doing that, and he surprised me with a podium today, and I'm happy to see that. And I look forward to seeing what the Belgian team does in. Sorry, but do we need to have like an official ceremony with a Belgian national anthem now, or I feel like
know it? Is it in French or Dutch?
Is it in French or Dutch? It's probably in both languages actually, but
you don't even know. I got mine.
I'm looking up the lyrics.
The women's race. You're second
Really, you've
on
got
the
yours.
you're second on the medal table behind China, Benji. By the way, Belgium. So this is your chance because Australia's going to overtake you pretty soon.
Do you want the French or the Dutch version right now?
I don't mind.
Do I really need to do this? Fuck me. What have I said?
Die manneke pis is die beste man in die eerste place in Leuven.
It's actually not that different. O dierbaar België, o heilig land der vaderen. It sounds the same, my dude.
All national anthems sound the same. They all sound the same. Like all half the flags are the same. Some, except the one with the AK-47 on it. That was crazy.
There's this country. What is it, Kiribati or something? Or
Kiribati, yeah.
Sorry, but their flag is fire.
Yeah, some of the flags were cool. Some
They have
of
a
them
great
were,
Twitter account, by the way.
Yeah, they were good. All right, that's the men's ITT. I enjoyed it, and a deserved win for Remco, who's having to be honest, almost the best year he could have imagined, considering the crash in the Basque Country. To rebound from that and win third in the Tour and then win the Olympics TT. I mean, come on. That's
What's next?
Zurich World Champs TTW.
Road Race Olympics coming up.
And a road race. Well, we'll do that in the preview. We'll discuss. Does this mean that he has to close it down for Wout?
Fuck no.
I don't think so either. Okay, onto the women's TT, which was also very, very interesting with a big upset. We had Chloe Dygert as the very short favourite, which I said was appropriate. I got convinced by the propaganda Benji told me about power data being better than ever. And I was like, Dygert can't be beaten. And to be honest, when she has been in shape, she has been really tough to beat. But the rain was really heavy for the women, and it was like, I've never seen so many riders crash in a TT, Benji. I'm not sure if you've got a list, but I swear half the top 10 laid it down at some point.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of riders crashed in this time trial, and we're going to start off with Taylor Knibb, because Taylor Knibb has a pretty special story in this time trial. So, in one of the first corners, Taylor Knibb crashes. So she's from the US. She won the US national champs and I think triathlon as well. So
she's a triathlete, yeah.
The bike handling is an issue because she doesn't crash once, twice, 3 times. I'm not sure whether it was 3 crashes or 4 crashes, but I hope the person that I'm about to laugh at is okay, because then the mechanical stepped out of the car, took the bike, a replacement bike for Taylor Knibb, and just face planted with the bike into the floor. That was one of the funniest things I've seen. But I hope the guy's okay.
It was crazy. Like, everyone was crashing, and I was thinking anyone could almost win this. Ludwig crashed and was upset, and then she's like, once I crashed, I lost all confidence. I swear riders were almost crashing on straights. If they just put too much power down through the rear wheel on the white painted line, the bike would start to buck and they'd crash. It was crazy. But yeah, we see...
Hartmann, Ludwig, Kopecky, those guys, those all crashed. And then the favorites still had to come. So who was like the first rider that really set a time where you were like, okay, this is a good time?
To be honest, it was Juliette Lebeau. Like, I didn't expect Vollering to win. Or maybe Kadzau, to be honest. No, Kadzau. She set a time 41.46, 46.5 k's an hour. She's also improving so fast that you don't know. Like, maybe she's just had a really good TT. I don't know if she crashed or not, but she was a 13th to T1, 4th fastest from T1 to T2, 4th fastest T2 to the finish, Kadzau, the Kiwi. Yeah. And so I thought that's a pretty good time, because she's beating Cordon Rago, she's beating Van Dijk, in fact, and of course the Netherlands here, they picked Van Dijk instead of Marcus. I know I'm biased, but clearly incorrect. Rihanna Marcus should have gone, like, they picked Van Dijk. I know she has the pedigree, but she also broke her ankle. She also seemed to have other injuries, and she finishes...
Foot and finger also broken 6 weeks ago.
She finishes 11th. Like, and I like Ellen Van Dijk, and maybe it's for the road race. They want her to be like the neutral domestique to avoid a Tokyo repeat, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Rihanna Marcus could have medaled here.
Yeah, for sure. Rihanna Marcus could have medaled here, and it's also... I was discussing this whole discussion with my wife earlier. Like, is it selfish from Ellen Van Dijk to to take that spot then or not? I couldn't really place myself in that situation because you just crashed. You just broke your ankle, your foot, and your finger, and you get an opportunity to maybe come back in 6 weeks. I think 2 weeks ago, before today's time trial, she had to prove in some shape or form through a test that she had the watts to do it, and she apparently got her best values of the year that time trial.
Okay,
So
which fair enough.
She apparently passed that test to be able to get here. If you pass that test, then it's kind of on the national organizers. I can't blame Ellen van Dijk for this at all. Like,
No.
maybe she just had a bad day.
She could have just had a bad day. But like Marcus put a minute 12 into Vollering in the national champs, which is also a long TT.
Yes.
So it's like, well, what's the point of holding that event then? Apart from
It's
the natty
like-
bands.
Sorry. Can we talk about how Olympics work here for a second?
I don't know how they work.
Like, I feel like I've been told that sports, that countries get spots in which they can put their athletes in the sport, in the Olympics.
Yep.
Okay, fair. But why is the selection criteria not a fixed thing across a sport?
Oh, they're crazy, Benji. So it's political. It's crazy.
It is so fucking stupid to me. I don't get that. There has to be like a fixed criteria. Otherwise, it will always... The amount of scandals that must happen left and right for riders that should be selected but aren't selected, that makes it like... That's... It sounds like unjust to me.
Well, it's like some sports do have fixed criteria. Like they have Olympic qualification in the running. You run a certain time, or you beat a certain people, you're in. So one would normally think Dutch Natty Champs, if you win that, you are pre-selected for the Olympics TT.
Yeah.
Could be an objective way rather than a guy just watching Ellen van Dijk do a TT around a local suburb. Yeah, looks about right. Get her into the... Like, that's what happened, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the same with Zigart and the Slovenian selection. It's the same with Narvaez and Carapaz. Narvaez is the better one-day racer, but the way he was selected was not actually like a correct process. So anyway, Van Dijk was the second favorite. She finishes 11th, and it looks like Kazau's done a very, very good time. The other Dutch woman, Vollering, she does a good time as well, 41.29. She beats Kazau, but it's just not. She still is a light rider, and she's not the best flat time trials. Kopecky, I don't know when she crashed, Benji, exactly, but at T1 she was 5th, and it wasn't looking so good, and then she also laid it down at a certain point, and apparently that was even communicated to Elisa Longo-Borghini, and Elisa Longo-Borghini gave a long interview saying that freaked her out, because she heard Kopecky crashed, was like, Kopecky's a good bike handler? It must be really sketchy, and then she was taking all the corners really slow, and it like completely freaked her out.
That's kind of interesting because then, does that mean that with a rider
Why
like
tell her?
Lamborghini, maybe it's motivational, as in, Kopecky crashed, you've got a chance for the medal?
Oh, medal, yeah.
I think they tried it positively, but it backfired for long. That's an interesting concept. I think that's a rider by rider thing, and I think some riders might react to that differently. I don't know, but hey, I guess they know now what not to say to Longo-Borghini when someone crashes.
But then looking at the time splits, Anna Henderson, she set a really hot time, third at T1, much quicker than everybody before, like way quicker than Lebu, like 15 seconds quicker than Vollering. Also then T1 to T2 solid, and also to the finish pretty solid. Not the quickest. Kopecky was actually really pretty quick T2 to the finish. But Dygert, Benji, we see Grace Brown T1, 16:02, 5 seconds quicker than Dygert. We don't have huge gaps yet, but we do have huge gaps from Brown and Dygert to the rest. Yeah. And then T1 to T2, we see Chloe Dygert, I think, crash, and that's all she wrote. She was already behind at T1. She then loses 46 seconds, 7th T1 to T2 because of that crash, and it looked like a pretty heavy crash. I don't know if it was on her affected knee.
Is it harsh? Is it harsh to say that the first corner she went through I knew she would crash at some point in this time trial.
I was like, don't pedal, don't pedal, don't pedal. I could see it was like the left-hander, really wet. Other riders had issues there. And there's cobbles in the middle of it. And I was like, do not pedal with your bike angled through that corner. She didn't pedal. I don't think she clipped her pedal.
No.
It's just the act of pedaling forced the back wheel to move a bit. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
And
we saw that same behavior in some of the other crashes today. And like, yes, there's sport luck involved, but also there's sport skill involved. So
for sure,
when it comes to multiple of these, like Taylor Nip, I'm sorry, but if you crash 3-4 times in this time trial, it's not just luck. Like, there's bike handling issues there. When it comes to Dygert, if you look specifically at this crash, that's a slight mistake in my opinion, trying to pedal through that corner. And that's dependent on the weather circumstance. Obviously, if it doesn't rain there, if it's not wet, I don't think that pedaling washes her out in that corner. But the weather conditions happen, and you have to adapt your riding style there. Whether it's hard to say whether it's 100% because of a mistake here, but I lean towards that, no?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about, okay, you can give up a second in the corner, or you can try to get that second back and you lose 35 seconds. That's where these corners made a big difference. And to be honest, I don't think she was winning anyway. I really don't. Like, Brown was on a special day, absolutely flying, and she is the only rider not only to go under 41 minutes, she's the only rider to go under 40 minutes. She does this TT nearly 2 kilometers an hour quicker than the second rider, Anna Henderson of GB. So Grace Brown, one of the best performances of her career, one of the best performances in a TT I've seen in the women's since Chloe Dygert in Harrogate.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, just obliterated everybody, beating Henderson by 131. It's close gaps here. From second to sixth, or even the rest of the top 10, this is close gaps. 131. Dygert is third, misses a silver by a second to Henderson, 132. She would have silver without the crash, but would have, should have, could have. Lebu fourth, 141. Vollering fifth, 151. Then 156, Kopecky, 208. Kadzal, good performance. ELB 211 in eighth, and Cordon Rigaud and Schweinberger 213, 214. So Brown, like, untouchable today.
For sure, and that makes me rethink this entire season. And she won Liège-Bastogne-Liège this year. She's been good all year. She's been very good all year. But then she announced her early retirement because she's not at the age that you'd usually expect a rider to be retiring. Now, she can have other plans in life, so that's probably the reasoning around that, or things going on a personal level. But it's such a shame to have Grace Brown leave the sport, especially because of how good she is. Liège-Bastogne-Liège winning, Olympic gold at the time trial. I'm sorry, but this is her best year of her career so far. And it's going to be the best year of her career because she's retiring at the end of the year. And that's a shame for the sport, but I do respect that decision. It's like, there's two sides to it, you know?
Man, she get paid so... she won TDU last year. It's pretty good.
Yeah, but she...
Olympic gold's pretty big. But she could get paid so much money.
500, 600K?
I reckon 500K. And you get low tax on that? Like, that's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in women's cycling these days. So, and life's not all about money, as we said. So, and also...
Yeah, but I do hope she can benefit from these achievements in some shape or form in the future, whether it's that she can land loads of analyst roles or something in Australia. I don't know how Australian fucking national TV culture
TDU
works.
comms.
Does she enter like... Grace Brown in Australia after winning this? You win
Olympic
gold
gold's
at the
pretty
Olympics.
big.
But does this get you on like the funny TV talk shows?
I don't know. Probably not. It gets you on comms for cycling. But that's
right. In Belgium, it would do that.
Really?
Because Belgium's smaller, so it's...
Yeah.
You would get on like... There's this TV program, like the smartest person of Flanders. The TV program is called like a quiz. Is he? I love Average Rob, but I wouldn't put him at the smartest of Flanders.
Eddie Merckx.
It's definitely not. But when it comes to cyclists, you're going to keep naming Flemish people, aren't you? Flemish sports people would go on there then after winning gold, etc. And if they accept the stuff. So does that exist in Australia? Would Grace Brown now be invited to such shit?
No, because it's cycling, and cycling's bigger in Flanders, so it's like your second biggest sport. So cycling's not our second biggest sport.
You've got fucking cricket,
AFL, rugby league, rugby union. Yeah, so but the point is, the reason I mentioned the money
hunting
is because I feel bad because it's like she just got this insane Palmares and she deserves to get paid bank for it. Like Liège and Olympic gold. But anyway, that's not the biggest story of this TT. It's her winning, and also on FDJ Suez, like a huge win for them. And you know, she came 1 second behind. She wasn't the favorite for this TT. I think she was third favorite. She came 1 second behind ELB in the Giro TT about only 20 days ago. It was a little bit hilly. It had a hill in it, but it wasn't like, I don't know. She clearly got it absolutely dialed for this TT. I don't know if that's Australian Federation. I don't know if it's just FDJ Suez who deserve all the credit. Maybe she deserves all the credit just for bringing fantastic legs today to the race. But I
think that's the most important part.
Yeah, how much she lost world champs by 6 seconds to Dygert last year. So it's not, but that was a bit hillier. So it's not like,
if it was longer, she would have won.
Well, I think the rain and the flat, I think she just killed it. Like no one, this was really like the men's, one mistake from any of them, it was enough, you know? The Tarling Mech, for example. But Brown, she could have crashed twice. She still would have won.
Yeah.
Like crazy performance.
I know I'm giving you a lot of medals today of like, oh, Australia great, I love Grace Brown, stuff like that. But when it comes to the kit, sorry, but the yellow and green is one of the best national championships and national team kits that the yellow and green is the best national championships and national team kits that exist.
Thank you. Certainly better than whatever Belgium cooked up for this Olympics. Jesus
Christ.
It's no good, is it? Anyway.
Awful.
Yeah. But anything else from this team? I mean, Dygert, Benji, I went way too far. She clearly was not at her best level, or maybe Brown, maybe only just matching Brown is her best level, and Grace Brown's the one that's improved in the last 3-4 years. I don't know, but Dygert just didn't look. What do you think happened outside of the crash, or is it just the crash?
I think Brown was better than usual than last year. I think Dygert might not have had the watts that she was hoping for. Maybe I think the crash matters, but she was behind already at T1, and it didn't look like she was trying to negative split it or anything. So I think it just wasn't good enough compared to Brown.
So that's I gotta say, I did expect her to put in a big performance, but yeah, she did crash. I'd say Labou coming fourth on a flat course is also the eyebrow raiser to me. Like that, this is a strange TT because that is one of the best performances of Labou's career in the TT.
She's just a legend.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, fifth last year, but that had some hills in it. Maybe I underrated her as a TT rider. But
infinite watts.
Anna Henderson as well. I think her season was really disrupted by that Vuelta crash. She came into that Vuelta in really, really good shape. She'd been sort of a helper in the Ardennes for Vos, and then in the Vuelta and the races after that, she was really going to get her chance to show herself. Crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Then she has had to have a second build up in June. Tour of Britain, she was solid.
Yeah.
Better than solid, to be honest. She was like second best behind Kopecky. No shame in that. And then she's come here in good form. So hopefully, I assume she's doing the Tour de France Femme. I think you'll see a good Anna Henderson there as well.
Yeah, I would expect that as well. And it's quite interesting that this time trial is like just in the running towards the Tour de France Femme, because then you can already have a feeling of what these riders' form is going into that race, and we'll see the same when it comes to the road race. So I'm curious what will happen there. Henderson should be pretty good at the road race as well, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I hope that Kopecky hasn't heard from this time trial. We're actually both good time trials today. I know the crashes suck, but it was intense from start to finish, I would say.
I would say the crashes added a bit of drama, not what the riders wanted, but it made the result in the men's maybe more variable, and in the women's certainly in the top 10 more variable. So maybe I don't know where Taylor Knibb would have ended up, but for the US, but still Dyger got them a bronze medal, and Australians all let us rejoice because we won the basketball this morning against Spain. We're looking good. Now we've got a gold medal already on the books, so who knows? Who knows? What do you think the medal count, where are we going to finish in the medal count, Benji? 5th?
Well, Belgium's going to be above Australia, so.
Mate.
Not that hard, come on.
Actually, it is very hard because per capita, we are one of the best nations, and also we spend...
Yeah, but technically...
We spend 50% of our GDP on it.
But technically, your medal should be under the British flag anyway.
Exactly. If you combine all the Commonwealth went 1-2 in the women's TT.
Yeah, but you can't take credit for them. They can take credit for you. That's how it works.
Maybe. Fair enough. Alrighty. Anything else from the TT, Benji? I think the road race... Everyone just brace yourself for the road race that maybe when the big attacks go, you're not going to see them. So you'll have to make sure you tune into the podcast to find out what actually happened, because if the TV coverage was like this in a TT, then good luck with the road races.
No.
You know what? I'd also like to make a note before we finish. I believe I'm going soft, Benji.
Really?
I believe in the Olympic spirit and the Olympic values. I think I like the limited places for all the big countries, and I like the athletes from the other countries getting a go at the Olympics. It means more to them.
I agree.
I don't want to
Not
see
a hot
fucking...
take, dude.
Is it not? But the riders always complain, why can't we have 8 riders in domestiques like in a classic?
Of course they're complaining. There's less spots for them. Like, of course, they're the ones complaining.
That's what I mean. They
some
complain.
people in the sport. I think a lot of people are complaining about the fact that the men's spots went down to make it equal to the women's instead of upping the women's to make it equal to the men's. But sorry, but I kind of like the idea of having an uncontrollable road race that might be batshit crazy next week. Because, I'm not a big fan of the no earpieces thing, but if we can have some crazy shit for one day in the year, then I'm perfectly okay with it. Yeah, it's different than the actual... normal races we have throughout the season, but in previous years I would have complained that it's not representative of the sport that it's doing. But sorry, but it's not representative anyway. They're national teams. We don't have national teams in cycling races. Like, it's not representative anyway, so I don't care. Like, do something crazy. And yes, if you want a spot at the Olympics, be better.
Yeah, or join like Tuvalu and become the Tuvalu ITT championship and win like Oceania TT champs or something.
Or work with your Slovenian national coach within the same company and then get your spot through that. It's also possible.
I mean, on that blowback has also gone a little bit too far, I think.
Yeah, but...
Like Ziga also, she cannot ride in the peloton for the road race. Yes, but
she can still get a better result than the other two, in my opinion.
For the TT, it's no question. Zigard should be in for the TT. She destroyed them in national champs. She should be in for the TT. But also, let's not act like in the road race she would just medal or something.
She should 100% be selected. And there's too many relations between the national selection person and at least one of the 2 other selected riders that, to me, it sounds sketchy.
Yeah. But on a sort of a heartwarming story, I would like to just take this opportunity to shout out Yıldız Hashimi and Fariba Hashimi. They're refugees from Afghanistan. They left when the Taliban retook control in 2022, I think. I can't remember when the US backed out. And they moved to northern Italy. And like they were on initially the Valcar team for a little bit, then Israel or Roland now, and now they're on the UCI team. Like, Yıldız actually did a decent TT today, the older one.
Yeah. Results aren't shit.
Fariba Hashimi, she's 21. She is actually good. Like, I'm sorry, if you are Canyon, if Visma had a women's dev team, I would recommend to sign Fariba Hashimi. Like, if you think about what training would she have been doing in Afghanistan, man?
Yeah.
And she's 21, and
Yeah.
she has to move away as a refugee to Europe, not knowing the language, and within, a very short period of time, she is coming top 5 in Swiss national races. She comes top 10 in the Giro Mediterraneo Rosa, which was basically like a U23 race with some quite good riders from the UAE dev team, including 2 top 5s in stages. Like, she is clearly, there is something there. And of course, merit should be first, I believe, when you're signing riders, whatever. It doesn't matter if you have a nice story, if you're no good. But if you have such a good rider and they deserve a chance more than some other people who haven't had the same opportunities, and it's an incredible story, then like if you're Canyon Generation or another team, I would be signing Fariba Hashimi next year, to be honest, and giving her a chance.
Yep. I think that's a very fair take.
I just wanted to give them a shout out because, to be honest, it's just nice to see. It's nice to see riders get a chance, and also it's a crazy story, very sad, obviously, but also they're making the best of it, or trying to at least. We'll see. I think Fariba Hashimi will be in the road race next weekend. Yildiz did the TT today. That's all I've got, Benji. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, thanks for listening to our Olympic Games recap. Always strange races. They're not the same as even the World Championships with the national teams. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you with the preview of the men's road race in the middle of the week next week. Until then, ciao.